What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Established Run's NBA Injury Report Analysis Show. I'm Drew Dinkmeyer here with Mike Gallagher to walk you through tonight's two-game slate in the association as two 1 versus 8 matchups here. A little bit of a lighter basketball night after a couple big ones with the playoffs have finally officially started with some road teams getting victories. Mike Gallagher, how are you doing today?
Doing good. Just got a little hike on Camelback Mountain. It's Sham Jefferania starting at another year on this earth. Happy birthday to Sam. Really nice hike today, and felt pretty good. You know, it was hot out there, so it was great. We didn't have time to go get food, but great way to start the day. Good basketball. Shout out to the Mavs. You know, really needed that win. Shout out to the Playback gang. Print Fest, for those of you guys who were on the playback yesterday, we had some bangers yesterday. So really nice night. Props are rolling here again. Don't want to jinx us, but feeling great.
Nice. Yeah, it was a fun night. It'll be a nice quieter night on the NBA front with just the two games tonight spaced out a little while. Let's look at the injury stuff on the Miami-Boston side. We'll start there with Miami still without Terry Rozier and Jimmy Butler, Josh Richardson as well. They've listed players as available as Kevin Love, Duncan Robinson, and Haywood Highsmith. And then we had a midday add to the injury report with Nikola Jovic as probable due to back discomfort / spasm. So what, same day ad, always concerning, but probable tag not as concerning. What are your thoughts here on Jovic?
Yeah, I'm treating it like a Q tag. Back discomfort, never good. It's Miami. The late edition, as you mentioned, there's a lot of reasons to not disregard this probable tag. On top of the fact, the Jovic minutes went horribly. He guarded Jaylen Brown a little bit. That went terribly. He got, over-rotated a bunch. He played one of his worst games after coming in with a lot of momentum. He had some really good stretches in the play-in run. So I kind of when I was running matchups, I was like, Highsmith, does he come for him? Because it's just nasty to, naturally you just want to put Caleb on Jaylen and then Highsmith on Tatum. We saw a lot of Highsmith on Tatum. Do they just pull the plug and Kyle Anderson him? So yeah, I would be aware of that. I'll be watching them in Miami starters for sure. But yeah, definitely treating that as something to note. And then nothing else to note. We did just a couple of matchup note wrinkles. We saw 3 minutes of a Kevin Love Bam overlap. Tyler Hero got just covered up by Drew Holiday. He had nothing going there. Jaime Jaquez really good third quarter, much to our chagrin there. But yeah, Miami's got to bring their 3-point defense. We talked a lot about this before, that their zone defense got shredded. They got 1.6 points per possession against with the zone. They rarely play zone against Boston, but let's play zone against Sam Hauser. But yeah, so expecting some adjustments here, both from a lineup perspective and from a game plan perspective from Spo.
Yeah, we'll talk through more of those adjustments on the DFS show behind the paywall today at 5 o'clock Eastern. But you mentioned Highsmith as a possible starter. The Highsmith minutes did not go well either in this game. He was pretty bad too. DeLon Wright was really the bright spot for Miami in that one. And there's certainly with the way the roster is now, there would certainly be room for DeLon Wright to potentially get elevated as well. The problem is they're just short guards, just generally without Rozier. But a lot of different ways that we know Spo will make adjustments. We'll throw out all sorts of things at trying to make things tougher and more difficult for Boston. So interested to see what those are tonight. But from an injury standpoint, the Jovic situation certainly one to watch on. On the Boston side, Luke Cornett listed out with the right calf strain. That's the only injury listed for Boston. They went with the 8-man rotation here. Ended up playing fairly full minutes for the starters because Miami made it a little bit respectable in the fourth quarter here. But from an injury perspective, there doesn't seem to be much to cover on the Celtics. You got any notes here?
No, not really. Just expecting them to run out there. Just the bombs away 3-pointers, spot up shooting absolutely rolled them. I think it was 56 points out spot ups, which is just an insane number. So yeah, it's going to be bombs away. Boston not getting any rim pressure. Expecting a lot of 3-pointers. So yeah, KP played great, but from a force, we don't play centers against the Heat, but it was just a jumper fest, and he played really well. So yeah, and then Tatum triple double was great. It's definitely a Tatum matchup. Miami kind of had their way. That Miami was full Miami defensively. Took away the rim, took away transition, but gave up threes. It gave up a lot of them. So you don't want to do that against Boston. So we'll see if maybe Miami doesn't play the drop as much as they've been playing with Bam more. We'll talk more about that later though.
Yep. Certainly that's the most interesting facet of the game 2 adjustments to me is how Miami tries to or doesn't try to shape the math equation of the game, because I understand how trying to allow 3-pointers in bulk adds to variance, and you want variance associated with the team. But if you are on the other end or unable to create 3-point attempts, which was an issue for Miami in that game until late when they just started kind of bombing away, they were really stuck in the mid range, and you were giving up a bunch of 3-point attempts on the other end. Even if the team is missing those 3-point attempts, the match is very, very difficult to kind of overcome. So that's the biggest thing I'm interested in watching in game 2. Let's move to Oklahoma City and New Orleans. On the New Orleans side, the injury report, the old reliable Cody Zeller still available with his face mask, and Zion Williamson still listed out with the left hamstring strain. No other notes at all in this game from an injury perspective. So if you want to talk quickly through New Orleans or Oklahoma City in terms of expectations here tonight, what are you looking for in this game?
Yeah, so the big storyline to me is how much does Jonas Valanciunas play? So we saw him get crater in this matchup, but I don't think the Thunder care. Like they're willing to just, hey, Joe Val, do you and go and we'll figure out we'll shut off your water. I think they had 7 transition points. The Pelicans did. They got like, how would you rather lose a game? Would you rather lose a game team running down the floor on you, or like someone grinding their way to get a putback or post up? Like, come on. So they're cool with that. Mark Daigneault after the game practice, and another third time. There's like 3 different times since game 1. He said that they're okay with it. So a little bit of game of chicken on Joe Val for them. So yeah, other than that, obviously Trent Murphy played a ton. Brandon Ingram got hounded by Lou Dort. And then, J-Dub did a pretty good job on CJ McCollum. J-Dub also guarded Ingram pretty well, too, as Kason Wallace checked in for some CJ. But, yeah, I don't think there's really any cards to pull. The card would be, does Dyson Daniels play? I don't know. Herb has to play. Herb's been great. We'll talk about it. I guess I'll just swing into it here. Nothing really to talk about. Mark Daigneault talked a lot about how – I talked about this on the show, that Mark Daigneault wanted to have his options first and then kind of hone in on it. Kind of like, show, hey, look, Willie Green, we got all these guys. You don't know who we're going to play next time. So it feels like they're going to trim somebody down. Not sure who. I have an idea. We'll save that for we're major selling up the DFS show because we've been pretty good. I feel like the DFS fringe rotation takes have been pretty good. So we'll save that for the paywall gang.
Yep. And basically what the quotes on Daigneault were, it's easier to start big and come down than to come down and then bring a new guy into a series who hasn't played at all. And his idea was basically you want to get people's feet wet, get them accustomed to kind of playoff atmosphere. And certainly in a home crowd, it makes sense to do that as well, as opposed to like starting small and then having to bring somebody in a game 3 or game 4 in New Orleans. Hostile environment, a lot of young players on the team that don't have a lot of playoff experience. Like that's just a more difficult environment to kind of come into. So understood the reasoning there. Interested to see what kind of levers he pulls in terms of the rotation stuff. I think the one thing we can feel very confident is that top 4 for Oklahoma City: Chet, J Dub, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Luke Dort. Those guys are set for pretty heavy minutes, and it's really after that what the rotation looks like, kind of the meld around that. And I think with Josh Giddey, we'll continue to see up and down. If Giddey's playing really effectively, I think the minutes could reach as high as like 27, 28 in the right scenarios. But in the games that he's ineffective, like this one, you see the floor down to the 20. And I think I think it's going to go up and down with his effectiveness in the series. And he's been inconsistent in this matchup kind of all year long. So you've seen his minutes yo-yo around.
Yeah. And one more thing I wanted to add really quick was just the Pelicans were really good at limiting SGA with the pick and roll game. 11 possessions on SGA pick and roll plus passes, 0.18 per possession. They cut him out. His ISO game was still pretty good, but the pick and roll game, which is the Pelicans' forte, they like oscillate between the Heat. So yeah, OKC didn't give their best punch. So yeah, I'm interested to see how this game goes. It's pretty close. I kind of think OKC's got a little bit of an edge. Haven't bet it yet though.
Yeah, and if they are able to contain SGA in the pick and roll game, that's the game of chicken with Jonas Valanciunas. If they can win that battle for New Orleans, they can keep Jonas Valanciunas out on the floor, and that's the big thing for them. So that's really the thing to watch in this series is can Oklahoma City play Jonas Valanciunas off the floor? If they are able to, they are playing in a much more comfortable situation with all their small ball lineups against a New Orleans team that then takes some stuff off the table for New Orleans, which is already had some stuff removed from the table for them with the Zion Williamson injury. So New Orleans, a team that we've been very excited about during the course of the season because they have so much stuff you can do in terms of the flexibility of their roster. But we'll see as these playoff series go on. We always talk about what can you take off the table for the other team. And I think that pick and roll game for Oklahoma City is where to focus, because if they are successful there for Oklahoma City, they can get Joe Val potentially off the floor. That opens things up in a lot of different ways for them. So that's an area to focus on tonight. All right. That will do it for this edition of Established Run's NBA Injury Report Analysis Show. As always, we appreciate your support, and some of the best ways to support us is by subscribing to this YouTube channel. We are in pursuit of 5,000 subscribers on the channel by the end of the NBA playoffs. We would love your help in getting there. We're about 110, 115 short, something like that. So every person counts in terms of getting towards our goal of 5,000 and making the management over at ETR very happy with us. So appreciate your efforts in helping us reach our goals. If you're interested in any of our premium content where you can find some of those fringe rotation takes from Mike Gallagher and myself, tonight at 5 o'clock Eastern, we'll be live on Established Show Behind the Paywall, talking the good chalk, the bad chalk, the contrarian plays, and of course these rotation changes, what to expect, where we see vulnerability, how things could tighten early in the series. I think this is where a lot of the edge in DFS is. So if you're interested in any of that, you can check out all the premium product offering details on establishedrun.com/subscribe-MBA for more details. And if you enjoy this free content and want to keep it free, the best way to do so is to smash that like button and help feed that algorithm. Make sure other people in the world see it. That's what helps keep it free for us, allows us to continue to try to monetize this in different ways by getting different eyeballs on the product. So smash that like button, feed that algorithm, help us feed our families, and allow us to feed you the NBA injury information analysis you need each and every day to set your lineups and make your spread bets and your prop bets. So smash that like button, feed that algorithm. Num. We'll be back again tomorrow with another edition. Take care, everybody.